Now, the government says they're cleaning out the rot. Tradies say their rights are under attack. Today, rallies erupted across the nation's capitals as thousands of union workers protested against the government's takeover of the scandal-ridden CFMEU, vowing the union is here to stay.
CFMEU! Here to stay! CFMEU! Here to stay!
Loud, proud, defiant. Tens of thousands of construction workers across the country downing tools and taking to the streets in unauthorised strikes in support of the CFMEU.
We are here today because of the rotten, stinking Labor Party.
Fighting back against the federal government's forced takeover of the construction arm of the embattled union.
It's obvious that this has put a few noses out of joint.
Some 300 staffers stood down after the union became engulfed in allegations of endemic crime and corruption, bribery, bikie infiltration and intimidation.
And you little germ, you think I won't you up too?
What we want to do, though, is to make sure that their union is free of corruption.
Albanese! The dirty, rotten bastard!
Workers chanting the name of disgraced former CFMEU heavyweight John Setka.
Johnny Setka! Johnny Setka!
As the PM denied Setka's claim that the government had promised not to take over the union if he resigned, which he did.
Now, when you do a deal with the government, you'd expect them to honour it.
Did you make a deal with John Setka?
Obviously not.
Tradies today attacking the PM, refusing to back down as they demanded the union be returned to the workers.
It's all bullshit, and they are ripping apart our union will never go. It will never go.
Eventually accidents happen. The union's the only one that protects us.
So is this the end of the CFMEU or just the beginning of the fight?
Are we gonna fight? Are we gonna win?
Incredible vision. Richard Foley is a member of the CFMEU and took part in the rally in Canberra today. Richard, you drove all the way from Wagga to Canberra. Why were you so passionate about being there?
Well, this is a very, very serious assault on not only the rights of union members but also Australian people. We're talking about a complete breach of the separation of powers in this country, and with no police investigation, no formal judicial oversight, we've got people being removed from positions and jobs and being accused of criminality with no evidence.
Do you deny that there's violence, standover tactics, links to organised crime within the CFMEU?
Look, I've never seen it in my days. I've been a member of the union since 1993, and I saw men have fist fights over the years on building sites, as you do. The building industry is a rough and tumble industry. Half the union, they all look like bikers, all got beards and tats. I mean, the reality is, this is a beat-up. Nobody's presented any facts other than some hearsay.
So what do you make of the court case, for example, in 2022 in New South Wales, where a New South Wales judge concluded that there had been $30,000 in bribes paid to the CFMEU in Sydney, and that this compromised the integrity of the union and also had the potential to distort the construction market?
Well, that's a judicial finding, and I'm glad he's found it. That's a finding, but there's over 100,000 members of this union. I mean, you're talking about smearing an entire group of people who've done nothing wrong. You're talking about removing 270 democratically elected officials appointed by democracy and removing them on hearsay. And if there's been a finding, as you say, well, I'd assume that the courts did their job.
But I suppose it's about the preponderance of it, right? It's about the idea that this is a pattern of behaviour, and that's what the journalism is reporting. That's what the various stories that some are captured on camera, some are not, in combination with things like that judicial finding. It's putting together a picture. It's not... The idea isn't necessarily to declare war on the union per se or to say that people in construction shouldn't have union representation. Indeed, I think most people would agree they absolutely should. But rather to make sure that it's a union that's freed of that corruption so the representation can work appropriately. That seems a legitimate concern for government, doesn't it?
It seems a legitimate concern in general for human beings, but the reality is you need due process. Where is the rule of law or any judicial process or any police investigation in relation to this latest raft of stuff? There is none.
There's no doubt that the union has done amazing things for working men and women in this country. But you know the saying about absolute power corrupts, and and power corrupting absolutely. Do you accept that your union is intimidating?
I think some people would consider, like today, you're looking at a bunch of what some people may consider loud mouths and bogans walking down the street in high vis, looking at me, I just think we're very prominent. We stand up for our rights and we stand up for the rights of others.
Do you think there are any people in the construction industry who have concerns about governance within the CFMEU itself?
I think there probably are. But yet again, as I said, if there are those concerns, well, let's air them. Let's have proper discourse. Let's have due process. Well, I know officials. I have a good friend who's an official of mine and that never stepped a foot wrong and lost his job, for no wrong whatsoever. So I think that if there's any governance issues, it's the current one we're under.
Richard, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.